Uncovering buried secrets. Cheers erupt as funeral director Joseph Bonner is arrested on 2 counts of abuse of a corpse at Heritage Memorial Gardens. The arrest made as the Mobile County Sheriff's Office began exhuming bodies at Heritage Memorial Gardens in an effort to get answers for families of buried loved ones. NBC 15 first to bring you this disturbing story after our months-long exclusive investigation into uncovering an alleged illegal cemetery. We have team coverage this noon at Heritage Memorial Garden Cemetery, and that's where the Mobile County Sheriff's Office has been digging up buried secrets since early this morning. Let's go right to NBC 15's Darwin Singleton leading our coverage from the field. Darwin.
Good afternoon, Kelly. When we first got here this morning, it was much cooler, it was dark, and they were just bringing in heavy equipment to start making some moves on the cemetery. Behind me right now, you see what looks like mostly dirt. A couple of those plots behind me here were actually unearthed this morning as they took a look. Not too deep inside at first. We thought they might exhume some of the bodies here today. That did not happen. However, they did probe far enough to find out there was some wrongdoing, according to the sheriff's office. Rachel Wilkerson has been on the story since she broke it a couple of months ago, and now she's giving us an update on what she as well witnessed out here this morning at the cemetery as those bodies were, or at least the graves were, unearthed. Rachel?
Darwin, everyone was waiting anxiously to see what was buried underneath the ground here. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see. Today, the sheriff's office dug up 3 graves. They say the vaults were not sealed and there was no attempt to seal them. They say because it was not sealed, there is standing water in the vaults and water in the caskets. They also say there's less than 8 inches of dirt on top of them. Tito Smith's grave was the first one they dug up. It's the grave investigators say a strong smell of human decomposition was seeping out of. When deputies opened it, they say it revealed more questions than answers. Today's investigation stems after months of allegations that loved ones weren't supposed to be buried out here at Heritage Memorial Gardens and wondered if they were here at all. The families gave them permission and got a court order for investigators to come out here and dig to see what was underneath the ground.
I think this, going to be some additional problems, for Cedric, and because he is, the very first one that we opened up, Tito Smith, there's a lot of problems with that particular burial. The mother didn't pay for him to be buried in this cemetery. She paid for one that was more expensive, and that's a problem in and of itself. We're not seeking to target any individual, but clearly it gives a sense of justice to the families. I mean, they knew something wasn't right from the beginning, and now they're getting those answers.
And he says today did provide some closure for families, but there is still much more to be done. They are now looking into exhuming the graves out here, and they want to make it clear that today was all about digging. They did not exhume the graves today. They were just digging them up. But we will be here providing you coverage every step of the way, and I'm going to send it back to you, Darwin.
All right. Thank you, Rachel. And, of course, it's a heart-wrenching, emotional thing to see someone buried in the first place. To see them unearthed is a whole different experience. And while we had at least 3 families deal with that this morning, there very well could be and will be more in the future. Our Nicole Fierro has been talking to family members about how hard it is to endure this, and there will be others. Let's go to her now.
Darwin, we saw loved ones cry in fear, in shock, and in happiness by what they saw right here this morning. Starting at 4 a.m., families came to the site preparing for the worst. As crews dug closer to their loved ones' graves, we watched a mother collapse in agony. We saw a brother in complete shock when he heard his loved one was here, but his grave wasn't sealed properly. And then there was the reaction when loved ones watched funeral director Jojo Bonner walk away in cuffs. Take a listen.
Yeah! Thank you, Jesus. You answered my prayer. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
That ain't the way it's supposed to be when you're supposed to be 6 feet under and you're not 6 feet under at all. And this is a disgrace. This is a disgrace to all communities, all race. This is a very disgrace. This don't make no sense at all to do people loved ones like this. and I'm going to be here to the end.
The morning starting and ending in tears for different reasons, but loved ones tell me they will not rest until justice is served for everyone. I'm going to toss it back to you now, Darwin.
Okay, Nicole, and we've been looking at this. We started getting trickles of information about 5 months ago, and Rachel has been working on this story for about 5 months. The interesting thing is, what happened today is not the end of this story. Actually, for many families, it's just the beginning as they start asking the same question. Was my loved one properly buried by this funeral home? We're live in Pritchard. Darwin Singleton, NBC 15 News.
Darwin, thank you. The former Heritage Funeral Home CEO convicted of sex abuse in 2012 will not go back to prison for violating Alabama's sex offender registration requirements. Tuesday, a judge decided not to send Cedric McMillan back to jail. McMillan, convicted in 2012 of sexual abuse and sodomy involving a 14-year-old girl. He's still on probation for that crime. Prosecutors say McMillan broke the registration requirements by working too close to a daycare. NBC 15 News first broke this series of investigations months ago. As we uncover more information, we will bring it to you right here on air and online. If you have any more information about the operations of Heritage Funeral Home or the Heritage Memorial Cemetery, we want to hear from you. Our contact information is on our website, mynbc15.com. Breaking news, an arrest made after a West Mobile man was shot and killed outside his own home. NBC 15's Cassie Fambro was there when the suspect was taken to jail. Cassie, step us through it.
Kelly, the murder victim was just leaving his home to go to work when police say he interrupted multiple people rifling through his wife's car.
Police say when the burglars saw Wilson, he was shot. Wilson died the next day from his injuries. Surveillance photos showed grainy images of the suspects, which police released to the public for help. Today, one of those men was arrested and charged with murder. His name, Seth Bowick, 24 years old. He didn't have much to say as he was marched to a police squad car, but police say the investigation is not over.
We do have one suspect that we do have, and there are a possibility that may be others that were involved in other crimes.
Now, Kelly, Sergeant Dubose said the credit in breaking this case goes to the public for helping identify the faces in those surveillance photos. Kelly?
All right, Cassie, thank you. We are continuing to follow breaking news just into our newsroom. Mobile police investigating a possible body found on Halls Mill Creek just off Dog River. Sources tell NBC 15 that a fisherman discovered the body Wednesday morning near Hippie Beach in the Tillman's Corner area. NBC 15 has a crew on the way to the scene right now. Here is a live look at our beach cam this noon. We have yellow flags up. There is a low threat of rip currents today. We do have some hazy sunshine. It was a little bit more hazy this morning. All of that due to some Saharan dust off the coast of Africa getting pulled right into our slice of the Gulf Coast. Temperature-wise, we are going to be on the hot side today. Heat index as hot as 101 to 103. So the humidity is still around. It's not quite as oppressive as it was yesterday, but we're not done with this sticky air just yet. Notice we do have a few clouds skirting across the area. Here's a look at our satellite and radar, and boy, do we have some beautiful sun breaks in Mobile. That is allowing our temperatures to skyrocket. No rain on deck for now, but we're not expecting a rain-free day. Heat index tracker stopping at 1 o'clock, 101 Mobile, 102 for the Fairhope area, and we're still going to have heat index values in the 90s after the sun goes down. Look at this, mid-90s downtown Mobile at 3, 94 Spanish Fort, Fairhope, and then as we head towards around 5 o'clock, more mid-90s, mid-80s at the beach, and it looks like some thunderstorms moving in towards Hollinger's Island and Alabama Port as we head towards 7 o'clock supper time. So keep that in mind today. We're not expecting any severe storms, but we could be hearing and looking at some dangerous lightning. A crime alert this noon. 2 men arrested, 2 more on the run after a crazy car chase in Mobile County. It began just after 3:30 yesterday afternoon. State troopers tried to stop a car from speeding on Highway 43 near Salco Road. Aaliyah says the car was driven by Clarence White of Pritchard. When White failed to stop, a hot pursuit began, continuing south on Highway 43 into Pritchard, where White lost control, smashed right into a tree. Aaliyah says White also struck a Satsuma police vehicle, causing minor damage. After the crash, White and 3 passengers took off running down Mission Street. White and 1 passenger, 39-year-old Edward Law of 8 Mile, were arrested. There's their pictures. 2 other suspects remain at large. A man and woman both charged with murder and abuse of a corpse set to appear in court today. Amber Kuda and Timothy Buford will face a judge. The 2 are charged in the murder of 57-year-old Tracy Griffin. Griffin's body was found burned in her backyard last week. We combed through court records and discovered that she was stabbed to death. Officials now saying that Amber Kuda stabbed Griffin on June 18th. Griffin's body was found by police after family members couldn't get a hold of her and called police for help. The Mobile man accused of strangling and hog-tying his own mother is due in court today. Clark Raines scheduled to have a mental evaluation hearing. He is accused of murdering his mother, Kay Raines. Kay was reported missing in January of 2017. Her body was found months later, buried in a shallow grave in Baldwin County. Authorities say a tracking device in Kay Raines' car led them to her body. Officers say that her son also bought 10 bags of soil and a small shovel to rebury her body. For the latest updates on this story and more, follow NBC 15 on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at mynbc15.com. Uncovering buried secrets, we continue to dig even deeper as families in Pritchard wait for unanswered questions. We will be back live at Heritage Memorial Garden Cemetery in Pritchard in 3 minutes. Not acceptable, the mess beach officials arrived to this morning and the strict message they have for beachgoers.
You can make a difference. If you have a story that affects our community and would like NBC 15 to investigate, call our Reality Check hotline at 877-315-7268 right now.